Alright guys, welcome back. I just wanted to iterate on the last video I just posted. I was having issues with SCAD information for the dimensions of the pulley teeth, and I wanted to talk about that really quick. So if we go, like I mentioned, to new, we just open that information like I said beforehand. Now, you remember I was telling you guys that you can add whatever amount of teeth and information. Well, there's a way to do it accurately so that way the teeth will actually be able to fit on a belt. But I don't know exactly where that information is in here exactly, how to set the dimensions, because once you start scaling it out, it actually throws off the teeth information. So this would actually be fatter and it's not actually accurate. That's why whenever I was setting it up for 260 millimeter or 260 teeth earlier, that it gave me that weird big actual tooth spacing that I was a little confused about. I thought that was me, and I thought it was like I had the wrong amount of teeth, but I was right. I did need 260 teeth. It's just this scaling for the teeth dimension was way too big and it just threw a lot of stuff off. So if you're not wanting to try to figure this out, because I just really don't have the time to read through all the code to try to figure out exactly, it mentions a few things here and there that kind of will get you started, but honestly it's not like a set thing. So I would recommend, if you're trying to do it, then I found another way which is a lot quicker. Granted, it's using Fusion 360, but it's still pretty quick. So I'm gonna show you guys now how I got this going. So if you go to this website here, it's a Twitter website. It shows Fusion 360 file design by Tyler, and it's a customize your own. So it gives you this information here to let you show how to make your own. So that's what I did. I went to the website here, just click on it. Once you do, it comes up over here as a new tab. At that point, you'll just download the Fusion 360 archive and it will go to your email. So I had it go here. I downloaded the file once I went into my Gmail here. And then once that happens, it comes up as one of these. So if you just click on it and hit open, as long as you have Fusion 360 installed, it'll pull up automatically for you. And I still use Blender. I try to stay away from Fusion as much as possible because of the fact we never know when Fusion is not going to be free anymore. And I know for sure Blender is always going to be free. And that's why I'm not trying to use Fusion as much. I do use it for certain things that I just obviously can't get around. For instance, for this, because nobody's built like an add-on or uh, a Python script or any kind of generation G coding information or whatever you may call it to make a gear for GT2 pulleys. So that's the only reason why I'm using Fusion right now. But honestly, I'd rather not. But this is all I have to use, which is pretty quick to do. So if I go to, now that you have it open, for some reason it opens up two tabs. I don't know why there's two, but it'll open up two for me anyway. I don't know if it's going to do it for you. You're going to go to modify and then go down to change parameters. And then here, all you have to do is just set the number of teeth you want. So if I want 260, I put it there, click down and click OK. Give it a second because my computer is probably a little slow when it comes to this. Fusion is a very high demanding software for using your CPU usage and stuff. It seems like it takes a little while. Anyway, once that happens, you see the value change to 260, and even the background got bigger. So we hit OK, and we have to scroll out so you can see it. Now you can see this is 260 teeth basically around for the most part, and it's about 260 millimeters. Now for my flange, or bearing, like I was mentioning beforehand, I need to be able to mount that, right? So quick and easy, really fast. I'll show you guys. My measurements was 145 for the inner diameter hole that needs to be mounted to my actual bearing. Granted, I do need to do other holes that mount this part to the bearing, so I need like M4 or M5 screw holes basically on the part, but the center diameter needs to be hollow. So we need to just create a sketch really fast, and we want to go to the top. It gives it a second to load here because there is a lot of geometry going on in this. We'll go to the top, and now that we have that, we'll just hit this center diameter hole, go right to the center, we'll pull out. You just click and pull it out, and I'll do 146. That gives me a little bit of clearance for the spacing, and then I'll hit enter. The spacing that I mean is I want to make sure that the inner diameter or the outer diameter is still, you can see a little bit of like the metal or the aluminum. Once you cut through here, you'll see a little bit of aluminum, because I don't want this to overlap the aluminum. I want this to be sitting on it. So I just wanted to make sure that it has a little bit of aluminum peeking through on the edges. Anyway, so now that I have that, the next step would just be to cut it out. So once we're done with that, just click Finish Sketch. You can move your geometry a little bit here. So what we want to do next is we're going to just click on this little corner, and then let's do this and this. There we go. Now what we're going to do is just hit Extrude. Just like on Blender, you'll just extrude in or down or up or left or right, whichever axis you're on. Right now we're on the Z-axis, so we're going to be extruding downward. We just pull this guy down and just hit OK, and that will cut straight through it. Now we have that diameter hole. Now the next step would just be to hit Bodies, right click on, well actually you have to drop it down so you can get to the body, so you have to do the drop down arrow, right click on it, and then you're going to save as STL. So then it's going to start generating the mesh for you, and you'll start seeing lines pop up. See right here, this is the vertices, or your vertices, edges, and faces basically. And then you can set your resolution. I set mine to high. You can set it to low or custom or whatever you want, but that'll be the number of triangles that's inside of here, which is kind of dumb. I wish I wasn't doing all this, but it's fine. I rather have high resolution because I want my circle to be very circular, not kind of like an octagon type of shape. Once that's done, you just hit OK. Then you'll just type in whatever. I already made one, so I have that information, so I don't need to save it, but you'll just type in the name, save it. It'll go to wherever you normally get it. I guess mine goes straight to downloads. I don't know about yours. So then you hit save, and you're all good to go. It exports out. Then you can bring it into Fusion. That's what I did. So originally I brought into Blender, I'm sorry. So what I did was bring it into Blender. So what I did first, just to make sure that this was wrong, this is the yellow one right here is the one I got from this SCAD version that I was first showing in the first video. And now you can see, if I scale in and move around a little bit, you see the teeth diameter is not accurate. So this right here, this is an SVG that I started from the first video that I was able to go back to and see. So I generated the SVG using the G-code information that I showed you here on the first video. So this is 145 for the whole diameter, then 260 teeth. See that? So that's exactly 260. So I wanted to make sure that one of these was going to line up with this SVG file. So I had to convert that into SVG. Like I mentioned, it'll be on the first video because it comes out as a DXF file. Anyway, so I was able to get this into Blender as a SVG because this doesn't take DXF, I believe, and at least Blender doesn't. Then what I did was just try to line them up so I can see if they were lined up properly. So you can see from the top view, if I do Shift Z, we can kind of see the differences here. So with this one, we got This is the yellow one. You can see how fat these teeth are. This is definitely not a GT2. Look how it's taking up about a whole tooth by itself. So this ain't good. So we're just going to delete that. That's useless. And then this one is our Fusion 360 file. And you can see it lines up perfectly with this one. The only reason it's a little off is because of my movement in here. It isn't Blender or the file, it was me, because when I exported it out as XDF to SVG, it scales it down for some reason, so I had to try to scale all this information up, which was kind of a pain to do because it does it where when you first import it in, it wants to put it like the center of origin starts here and then it's like over here in this direction. So that was just me trying to at least finagle it to get it to where I want it at, but you can see that it pretty much lines up. I mean, it's just a little bit off due to my user error basically, but it actually lines up pretty well. So for sure, Fusion 360 works, and like I mentioned, it gives you that information. And plus, if you want to check your measurements just to make sure everything is right, you can always use the measure it tool in Blender. Sorry. In Blender, so you can see what the measurements are to make sure everything is accurate, but it should be accurate without any issues or flaws. So if you guys are interested in these videos, definitely consider subscribing to my channel, because if I find a flaw in something, I definitely will make another video stating the issue with it. So for sure, that first video is good information, don't get me wrong, and there is a way to make this one work. You just have to read through the information and, you know, probably do some testing or something to actually change the tooth pitch and information through the coding, so that way you won't wind up having a fatter gear tooth than need be. But the Fusion one works. I showed you guys it does, so we don't have any issues. Either way, there always is going to be a workaround for the stuff you're trying to do. So until I find somebody that creates some kind of Python script or some kind of G-code generating STL file version of this is pretty much what I have to work with. So, I mean, at least it works. This is my only option at the moment that I was able to find. So I'm just happy that I was able to do so. And then with it being in Blender, I can always manipulate the vertices however I see fit. So if I don't want it this tall, I can change it. Like the item size is 8 millimeters thick. If I wanted to, I can just, you know, go into tab or edit mode, basically, deselect everything here. We're on regular select, so if we do just the top vertices, I have to zoom in a little bit, probably hit B. Maybe we can get all these top ones. I don't see that it selected them. That was weird. Hold on. B, select the top vertices. So it selected all those. I mean, we don't need all of these. Let me see if I can I'll just see and deselect all the bottom ones if I can. Honestly, it's one of those things where that's why I don't like using Fusion as much, because it does stupid stuff that I don't like. Honestly, if this was a Blender file, it'd be a lot easier to use and manipulate. But either way, I mean, even if you don't want to do it that way, you can always just change it here. So if I don't want it to be 8, I can change it down to 6. So bam, 6. So that was even easier. But that's what I'm trying to say, is you can manipulate whatever you want out of this. And once I get my measurements for the holes I need to cut out for my bearing, all I have to do is just, add a cylinder, make sure it's the measurement. So if like a 5 millimeter bolt or something, bring it in over to the locations that the holes need to be at to mount it to my bearing, and just boolean, add a modifier, boolean, cut it out, just like you would anything else. And then you have your custom made pulley. So hope you guys liked the video. Please like, share, subscribe, and let me know what you think. Sorry that the first one didn't do as well as I wanted it to, but like I mentioned, I'll come back to you guys, make sure that you guys have all the information as soon as I find out what the issue is, and then try to fix it here for you so you guys will still have something you can use. I appreciate you guys watching. My name is Legitly, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial video.